Greetings everyone, this is Rambling Collector back here with another book review for all of you today. Now this one here is going to be very special, because this particular book was a gift from my girlfriend to me to celebrate our 1-year anniversary. And to be honest with you guys, I had never even heard of Patricia Briggs until today. But especially with this particular series, the Alpha and Omega series. Now this book in particular is called Burn Bright, the 5th book of the series overall, and in my opinion, it was very engaging, especially because I myself am a fan of werewolves to a severe degree. With that being said, let's get started, shall we? So first of all, my overall thoughts. I would say that Burn Bright shows a very interesting perspective on werewolves in modern day culture, with some being hundreds of years old, having lived through some of the hardest eras of mankind's history. For instance, for one example, there is a werewolf who is known as a wildling, someone who could not be able to live among modern werewolf society or even human society. Is shown to have survived through the slaves era. And putting that into perspective about where this might take place in modern day, they could have lived for like hundreds of years or something along those lines. There are some werewolves that are even older than that, which really puts into perspective that some of these wolves are ancient as hell, meaning that they have such ancient knowledge and perspectives on various eras of human history. It really makes modern humanity seem small. But more than that, I would say this one here, as a urban fantasy, brings in a lot of fantasy elements and creatures, such as fae, vampires, blood magic, and especially witches. Dark witches in particular place a very significant role here, especially in Burn Bright, with the main plot of it being a murder mystery involving the murder of wildlings, which, as I mentioned before, are werewolves or folks who cannot live among modern society or simply cannot be able to live due to their advanced age, resulting in many physical or especially mental ailments. One of which involving someone, let's say, competing with their wolf spirit, which that alone is a terrifying thought, having a man and a wolf mentality at war with each other. That alone has a terrifying prospect when you really think about it. But more than that, this actually really dives into werewolf society, with a very interesting look at things such as packs, alphas, and omegas, with alphas apparently being prime leaders within the packs, but omegas are seen as a rarity, with their unique abilities to be able to calm the spirits of any werewolf. For example, our main character, Charles Cormac, and his mate, Anna. Anna herself is seen as an Omega, and through their bond we actually see how she has a very unique effect on Charles and his wolf spirit known as Brother Wolf. They both are very protective over her because of the fact that she is, of course, an Omega. But more than that, we see how she affects him with being able to calm his more wild thoughts and being able to sort of tame Brother Wolf. It's a very interesting idea, especially when how it puts alphas and omegas, with alphas, of course, being natural leaders, but having omegas having such a rarity, apparently, as described in this universe, with such a unique ability, it presents a lot of good ideas for stories, as well as character interactions. But the biggest thing that kept me going, and that kept me guessing until the end, was the unique mystery plot of wondering who was murdering the alphas, why they were doing so, and more importantly, how they were doing so, especially with the belief of a traitor among the pack, which it was revealed who it was, and in my personal opinion, it caught me completely off guard. It's always the characters you least suspect to betray your allies, but more than that, when you have what seems like an obvious red herring, it really makes it interesting because you want to believe that this character who just acts off from the rest of the main characters or the rest of the main cast is the villainous traitor. But when it comes from a close friend, it makes it so much worse, which makes the betrayal all the more potent. To be fair, this is my first book of the series that I've ever read, but I am definitely intrigued to read more, just to gain some more context, because it feels like there is a lot here that I am missing, and quite frankly, it leaves me intrigued to learn more. Because apparently Patricia Briggs has written a lot of other works in the past, not just Alpha and Omega, but her Alpha and Omega series is what intrigues me the most. Now, let's move on to random thoughts. So first of all, to begin, like I've mentioned before in other videos involving werewolf novels, I feel like werewolves themselves, as a literary device, or as a character or a creature that has the spotlight upon it, they are a rarity in all things, or especially well written, because oftentimes werewolves are sidelined by vampires, because everyone can make vampires these big supernatural juggernauts of magic or strength or whatever. Werewolves, however, by contrast, are incredibly simple, and yet I feel like there are a lot of other unique werewolf works that I've read in the past, such as the first book of the Werewolves series, Oberyn's Curse, as well as Jessica Magisner's Beyond the Veil, both of which have a primary focus on werewolves and do it so very well with such a simple concept. Man turns into a wolf. But with Beyond the Veil, for instance, it presents werewolves as more cursed beings. And if you want to understand about that, you'll have to check out my review of it to understand the concept of which. But as for Alpha and Omega, seeing werewolves in a modern society, which I've seen one other example of this with Jim Butcher's Dresden Files series, but this one here really intrigues me because of the whole alpha and pack mentality ideals, as well as just how werewolves themselves have blended into modern society, because it is stated in the story that werewolves have only just recently been revealing themselves to the public. So that alone leaves me intrigued and wanting to learn more about this series. Were werewolves just a secret society until recently? What more is there to learn about these characters? Because Anna's backstory in particular has a lot of intriguing plot details of being in a very abusive pack with an alpha who could not care less about those under his reign. So essentially she got out of an abusive family situation, when you really want to put it that way. In my opinion, this makes Anna a very interesting character to learn about, but also Charles, considering the fact that he has the Native American motif going on for him, as well as his father Bran, who was absent for a good majority of the book until the very last third of it, when we finally see him again. Either way, I am intrigued to learn more about this series, but because of this, you already know what score I'm going to give this story. Overall, with Burn Bright, I feel confident putting it at a solid 10 out of 10. This book kept me intrigued and wanting to learn more. Each and every page left me guessing. It left me wanting to learn more. It left me intrigued to see more about these wolves and how they interact with themselves and how they sort of experiment with their own human sides as well as their wolf half. This is the kind of werewolf fiction that I've been craving for a while now, and I am so excited to eventually dive into this series once, of course, I've finished all the indie works and other books in my collection first. Of course, that might take a while. In the meantime, though, I might just try to find out more about the Alpha Omega series. Patricia Briggs, you've gotten another interested reader, and I cannot wait to read more. And babe, if you are watching this video, thank you so much for introducing me to this novel, and thank you again for giving this to me as a gift. It really meant a lot to me that you presented me with another werewolf novel, and now you've managed to find me a cool new series to read and invest in. So, babe, thank you so much for that. It really means a lot. Now, for those of you who are still listening, if you are interested to see some of the other books that I've covered, feel free to click the link to my playlist for book rambles, which you will see above my head here. Or, if you want to see some of the independent authors that I've covered in the past, I will leave a link to that playlist as well. Believe me, there is a lot of unique stories that I've come across that might interest you all as well. And I hope that you have enjoyed this video review of Burn Bright. If this is the first time you're hearing about it, amazing. You've managed to figure out a new series or a new book, but if this is not the first time that you're hearing about this author, well then, you're meeting a new fan. Once again, you guys, thank you so much for listening to this crazy man's ramblings. It really means a lot that you take the time out of your day to listen to my crazy book ramblings. And to be honest, I'm hoping that I can be able to connect with you all more with some of the other stories that you have read or that I might have read in the past that might interest you. If you like this video, feel free to leave a like, comment your thoughts on the review down below, or subscribe if you're interested for future works. Thank you all once again for listening. This is Rambling Collector, signing off for now. Have a great day, fellow readers.